Good morning, everybody. I'm very grateful to all of you who've worked so hard to make this day possible. I want to acknowledge first our commissioners who've joined us, Commissioner Tara Stamps, Commissioner Monica Gordon, Commissioner Kevin Morrison, and Commissioner Dennis Deere. I'm also grateful for the presence of Federal Emergency Management Regional Administrator Tom Sivak, FEMA Federal Coordinating Officer Andrew Friend, Small Business Administration Public Information Officer Sherrod Schuler, Illinois Emergency Management Agency Michelle Hannikin, and Director of the Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships at FEMA, Marcus Coleman, Jr. I want to begin by expressing my appreciation to President Biden and Governor Pritzker for recognizing the urgency and the great need of our residents whose homes and lives were turned upside down. Today we're here to announce the opening of 4 disaster recovery centers, marking another significant step in the journey to recovery. Cook County residents will now be able to go to these centers, located in suburban municipalities of Cicero and Berwyn, and within the city of Chicago, to receive direct guidance on applying for federal assistance and other critical resources. Federal, state, and county, as well as local agencies, will be on site to provide answers to questions and overall support during this challenging time. These resources are in place to ensure that our residents and our communities can overcome damage suffered during storms and flooding between June 29th and July 2nd. The opening of these centers not only brings in-person assistance to the disaster survivors, but they also bring a sense of hope that our communities are on the road to recovery. This is what happens when local, county, state, and federal governments work together, and that kind of cooperation is what our residents need and deserve. I'm grateful to my staff at the Cook County Department of Emergency Management and Regional Security, EMRS. Of course, Ted Berger is here somewhere. There he is. Thank you, Ted, and your team for their work on the ground and with communities such as Cicero and Berwyn. I'm grateful to EMRS under the leadership of Ted Berger for its critical partnership with FEMA and IEMA. We thank these agencies for their invaluable commitment to the recovery of our communities. Cook County continues to bring vital resources to our residents. Since the storms occurred, we've worked closely with our municipal leaders to support response efforts. We'll remain dedicated and engaged with our federal and state agencies to ensure that individuals and businesses impacted by these devastating storms receive the care and assistance that they need. Thank you. Now, what I'd like to do is ask our commissioners to come forward, each to say a few words, and if you would be good enough to introduce the person who follows after you, that would make things a lot easier. First, Commissioner Monica Gordon. All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm Cook County Commissioner Monica Gordon of the 5th District. I'm here this morning with a deep sense of gratitude. The swift response of FEMA in opening 4 disaster recovery centers in Cook County following the devastating storms and flooding of early July will make all the difference to the residents of my district. I wish to extend my heartfelt thanks to President Preckwinkle for her relentless pursuit of support during this trying time. Gratitude is also in order for leaders from FEMA, IEMA, and Small Business Administration, and the committed officials from the City of Chicago. Your collective efforts have truly made a difference during these challenging times. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my esteemed colleagues, Commissioners Frank Aguilar, Commissioners Dennis Deere, Commissioners Kevin Morrison, and Commissioners Tara Stamps. Each of you has been a beacon of hope and support for the communities we represent, and I am proud to work alongside you. For our residents in the South Side and Southland, the opening of these DRCs represent more than just physical centers. They are symbols of recovery, rejuvenation, and hope. The events of July 2nd wreaked havoc on many lives, and these centers are a step toward mending the fracture caused by those storms. I'm grateful that our residents and small business owners may be eligible for the relief they desperately need. In moments of adversity, action like these showcase our county's commitment to its people. In closing, let's keep pushing forward, working together, and ensuring every resident affected by these storms can rebuild and recover. Thank you, and may we continue to stand firmly together. And next, I would like to introduce my colleague, Commissioner Kevin Morrison.
Thank you, Commissioner Gordon, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm Kevin Morrison. I represent the 15th District, covering the Northwest Suburbs on the County Board. As the new chairman of the Emergency Management and Regional Security Committee, it is an honor to be with you all here today. I want to share a special thanks to President Preckwinkle and Ted Berger for all your work in bringing these resources to the residents of Cook County. As the new chair of Emergency Management and Regional Security Committee, I am appreciative of the support FEMA, IEMA, the Small Business Administration, and many others have shown to Cook County in our time of need, especially our state and federal partners. In particular, I'm grateful for the 4 disaster recovery centers that we are announcing today. The intense storms and flooding we saw across the suburbs was devastating, and the cost to those affected will be felt long after. While we are immensely grateful for what has been given in the short term, we must not forget what will be necessary in the days to come. As natural disasters and intense weather events become more frequent as a result of climate change, we must do everything we can as a community and county to bolster our resiliency and foster sustainability. I encourage our local, state, and federal governments to work together to help prepare our communities for whatever challenges may lie ahead. And lastly, I do want to share my prayers and sympathies with all the residents who were impacted, and I am so incredibly grateful for all the partners we've been able to bring together to help in this time of need. Thank you all again, and with that, I would like to introduce my colleague, Commissioner Tara Stamps. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Cook County Commissioner Tara Stamps of the 1st District. And not only am I the commissioner, but I'm a survivor. I was significantly impacted by those storms and had to fish out my 80-year-old uncle who's a veteran and a double-legged amputee. And I just want to reiterate that the basements in our communities are much a part of our houses as our bedrooms. And so many of our families have been devastated. So I'm so thankful for the sense of support and comfort that my fellow commissioners are offering to our constituents, our neighbors. And I'm so grateful for the swift and immediate output of compassion and care and concise information that has come from the offices of IEMA, FEMA, and SBA. I am grateful for the unwavering leadership of President Preckwinkle and the compassionate leadership of our president and governor. I want to say in the days ahead, what we can do to steady this ship is to continue to band together and show what solidarity looks like when all levels of government band together in a common cause to provide the best support, the best recovery, the best assistance to the people that matter most, and those are the residents of Cook County. Thank you so much for your outpouring of support. These emergency centers will mean so much, particularly for our elders who cannot really navigate all of the technology that may be available on the app or on the online application, but just having that warm phone call of walking them through this process, or having someone to hold their hand at a desk and talk to them in real language in real time and offer compassionate care is what this process is all about. And I am so honored to be a member of this board at this time to offer the necessary assistance and to show the power of what community can do and to restore the faith in our legislator. Thank you. I'd like to introduce Commissioner Deere. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that was a powerful speech. My name is Cook County Commissioner Dennis Deere. Look, I always start by saying God is good and all the time. And for this particular event, God is definitely good because people have been actually waiting to get this type of relief. I want to say a huge thank you to our leader, President Toni Preckwinkle, for her undying efforts. Thank you to our governor, J.B. Pritzker, and also our president, Joe Biden. I am also grateful because while we're talking about the 4 centers that are opening today, last week I got a call from the SBA, and they said, listen, you know, your office is centrally located. Can we set up a couple tables in your office for our business recovery center? I think I got that right. Our business recovery center? I'm like, absolutely. We want to make sure that our people are able to connect. And so they've been there since then, helping people out get their applications done. This is all about making sure we can get this out to the people. We have to do a campaign of education around this. People actually suffered. My district covers the west side, a good swath of the loop, and go all the way south. My west side part of my district had a significant impact. I live on the west side as well. And so people are actually suffering. This is welcome and wanted relief. We got to continue to walk them through this particular process. It will be a campaign of education, and I'm looking forward to working with it. The last thing that I would say is, with great power comes great responsibility. And I think we are exercising that responsibility today. Thank you, Madam President. The next speaker is, I believe this is Tom Sivak. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Regional Administrator. Quite a pleasure meeting you.
Good to see you, sir. All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. I first want to say thank you to all that are on behind me today, President Preckwinkle, Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner Morrison, Commissioner Stamps, Commissioner Deere. Thank you all for your commitment to making sure that we focus on the survivors and making sure that those that were affected by these events get the resources they need and deserve. I first want to also recognize our Federal Coordinating Officer, Andrew Friend, our team members that are here from Illinois Emergency Management Agency, Michelle Hannikin, and then really important today is I want to recognize Marcus Coleman, who's the Director of Faith-Based Initiatives and Neighborhood Partnerships from headquarters, from the Department of Homeland Security. He works with FEMA. When this disaster happened, one of the charges I gave to Federal Coordinating Officer Friend was that we need to operationalize equity today. Yes. Equity is vitally important to make sure that we get the resources in the hands of the survivors that were impacted most by this event. We know that climate change and the climate crisis has exacerbated effects. And in this particular situation, under the guidance and the leadership of President Preckwinkle, President Preckwinkle's team, Governor Pritzker, and the President, we've been able to bring these resources to the communities that need it most. Director Coleman, I just want to sincerely thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come to Chicago and to come to Cook County and make sure that we can have conversations to make sure that we get with our trusted partners to get this information out to the communities, because we are all force multipliers to make sure that all residents have access to the resources that they deserve. Before I turn it over to Federal Coordinating Officer Andrew Friend, I just want to provide a little bit of information, and I'm very excited about this, about what we've been doing. First, with the 4 disaster recovery centers that are opening. This was in the last 2 weeks. Being able to get this done so quickly is, FCO Friend, I can just say that is a stretch goal, and we see that that's coming to fruition. That's important because that helps build on our equity conversation. In just the last 2 weeks, FEMA has approved more than $52 million in grant funding in home repairs and property losses to nearly 12,000 Cook County households. We've completed 17,000 home inspections with 150 inspectors in the field who are working diligently to get those completed quickly so we can continue to get the assistance in the hands of the survivors, which is the most important thing right now. Additionally, under the guidance of Federal Coordinating Officer Friend, we have nearly 100 disaster survivor assistance specialists that have been going door to door in the affected communities for almost 2 weeks. These teams have visited over 11,000 homes, and they continue to canvass the hardest hit areas, offering survivors personalized help in navigating the assistance process. One of the most important things you'll hear from today as well is our partners at the Small Business Administration about how they're providing low-interest disaster loans to survivors, businesses, nonprofits, and individuals to help cover even more disaster losses beyond what FEMA can provide. SBA is the largest source of federal recovery funds available, so it's important that community members do submit these loan applications when they receive them. Also, and I'm very excited about this, this happened this week, for those who lost work because of flooding and storms, disaster unemployment assistance is also available. For more information, you can visit the Illinois Department of Employment Security website. And finally, the IRS has just announced affected individuals and businesses in Cook County will have an extension until October 31st, 2023 to file returns and pay any taxes they were originally due in the period during or after the disaster. Most importantly, along with our partners, we're moving help into the neighborhoods, and more is on the way. Opening the recovery centers today is just one more step in delivering the better services to our vulnerable populations across the county. We have been so heavily impacted by this recent disaster. Our focus on this disaster is going to be, as our administrator has asked, to think outside the box, think bold and think big, and how do we get the resources in the community, but also build resilience for the next event that takes place as well. I know that the road ahead is long, but at FEMA, we are committed to doing what we can to support the long-term recovery efforts while building long-term resilience as well in the communities of Cook County and across the impacted area. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Federal Coordinating Officer Andrew Friend for a few comments. Andrew.
How is everybody doing today? Excellent. Great. So, Tom, thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Andrew Friend. I'm the Federal Coordinating Officer for Disaster Operations here in Illinois. I want to say thank you to Regional Administrator Sivak for your leadership, and thank you to our partners at the Small Business Administration, Illinois Emergency Management Agency, Cook County Emergency Management, and the City of Chicago, and to all our partners for the seamless coordination and getting help to those who need it the most across the affected areas. Just 2 weeks ago, President Biden announced the disaster declaration for Cook County, making critical federal funds available to individuals affected by the midsummer storms and flooding. This announcement activated more than 340 FEMA staff, many of whom are on the ground now working to get residents on their road to recovery. You heard it from Regional Administrator Sivak about the progress we've made in supporting the local recovery efforts here thus far, but we have more work to be done. The opening of 4 disaster recovery centers, this location here in Cicero, 1 in Berwyn, and the 2 of the City of Chicago, Columbus Square Field House and the Washington Square Mall, is just one additional way we're moving the needle forward for residents to get them back on their feet. These centers will have recovery specialists available to help survivors apply for federal disaster assistance, upload documents, and to learn ways that they can make their properties more resilient to lessen the impact should a disaster happen in the future, and also to get that one-on-one help they need to further their road to recovery. It is important to note, we take equity seriously. Staff will be available to assist in languages other than English, and translated materials are available at these centers. Our team prioritized accessibility when choosing these DRC locations, guided by the goal of reaching as many people as possible affected by this disaster. And it should be important to note, there's a few quick things here I want to mention, some quick tips and tricks. 1, Cook County residents can register at any disaster recovery center in the county. Anyone, if you're affected by this disaster, you can go to any DRC. However, it is not necessary to visit a DRC to continue your application process. These recovery centers are meant for individuals who may need some additional support getting registered, those who may want to drop off documents necessary to move their application forward, or those who just want to sit down with somebody, a real human being at a desk and get that assistance and get the answers to those questions. Before closing, I want to share 2 important reminders. First, for those who have registered and uncertain on the next steps and how to move forward, we have specialists available to talk to you. Visit one of our disaster recovery centers we've opened today. Call the FEMA helpline at 1-800-621-3362. And be sure to read your FEMA decision letter carefully. If it says you are ineligible, don't give up. Typically, if a case is held up, it's due to FEMA just needing a little bit more information from you. It could be as simple as submitting a document to verify your identity. It could be something like sending proof that you own or occupy your home. That letter will explain what is needed and how to resolve it. But I want to emphasize, you can always visit a recovery center or call our helpline for that guidance as well. And finally, Cook County residents with uninsured or underinsured disaster losses or expenses who haven't registered, you should do so now. The deadline is quickly approaching, and that is October 16th, 2023. Now, I know we've said it many times, but I want to repeat it now. Go to disasterassistance.gov, use the FEMA mobile app, downloadable on Google Play or the Apple App Store, call 1-800-621-3362, or visit one of these centers that we've set up today to help you on your road to recovery. You can find these locations for these disaster recovery centers and future centers we will open by visiting FEMA.gov/DRC. We need your help. I'm asking you, please help spread the word. Spread the word to your neighbors, your family members, your friends. We want nobody left behind. If you haven't, please register. Recovery centers are open now and available for survivors to get added support as they navigate their road to recovery. We will be here as long as it takes to ensure our programs are available, accessible, and beneficial to all Cook County disaster survivors. And with that, I'll pass it to not only my colleague, but my friend, Sherrod Schuler from the SBA. Sherrod?
All right. Thank you, Federal Coordinating Officer Andrew Fran. First, I would like to give honor to all the dignitaries here. On behalf of our administrator, Isabella Guzma, our Associate Administrator of the Disaster Office of Recovery, Francisco Sanchez Jr., and to our Field Operations Recovery Manager, Kim Fleming. As I mentioned, my name is Sherrod Schuler, and we are here at the U.S. Small Business Administration. And in times of disaster, not only do we help businesses that have been impacted by disaster, but we also help homeowners, renters, and nonprofit organizations. I want to repeat that. Not only do we help businesses, but we help homeowners, renters, and nonprofit organizations during a time of disaster. This is only available during presidential disasters or agency disasters. And with that being said, we are in coordination with FEMA to provide assistance. Of course, FEMA will continue to assist those residents here in Cook County that have been impacted, but SBA will also provide assistance to get you further along the road to recovery by providing low interest rate loans. These low interest rate loans are as low as 2.5% for our homeowners, as low as 2.375% for our nonprofit organizations, and as low as 4% for our businesses. This is a crucial time that people have lost a lot of valuable things, and we want to make sure that if they are underinsured or do not have enough coverage for insurance, we want to make sure that the SBA is there and available to provide all the assistance that they need. Not only to mention that these rates are low, but I want to share that we have a 0% interest rate for the first 12 months. And I will repeat, 0% for the first 12 months. There is no payment due for the first 12 months. So our residents gets a little relief as they're going through this trying time, as they're repairing and replacing damaged property. They have 12 months before they're making their first payment. Again, these are the resources that we're making available to all those renters, homeowners, along with our business owners and our nonprofit organizations to make them as close to whole as possible. And so with that, we strongly encourage any individual who has registered with FEMA that has been referred over to SBA to follow through with the process. Let me repeat that. Follow through with the process. At times, people may hear that we're the SBA. we don't want them to stop with our name being the Small Business Administration. We want to make sure they come see us at the Small Business Administration to make sure that we can get all the help that they need. And if for whatever reason we're not able to really approve that loan because we find that it's not a good fit, we will refer those individuals back to FEMA so they'll work hard on the residents and the citizens' behalf to make sure that they find the best to meet the best needs possible for those individuals. And with that, I want to now, well, let me mention this. There's 3 ways that individuals can apply. The first way is that we are staffed in all of the disaster recovery centers. So all of the disaster recovery centers that have been set up by FEMA, we have staff and personnel there to answer questions, to go through the process with them. So they can apply in those centers. They can also visit our business recovery centers, and they can get the help they need there. Now, if they're not able to visit us in person, they can call us on our 1-800 number. Our 1-800 number is 1-800-659-2955. I will repeat. It's 1-800-659-2955. And if they are able to apply online, they can go to our website at sba.gov/disaster. And again, that is sba.gov/disaster. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the Illinois Emergency Manager, Michelle Heikem.
All right.
All right.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Hannikin. I'm the Individual and Community Assistance Manager for the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. We're delighted to be here today to officially open the Disaster Recovery Centers, or DRCs. After working with impacted jurisdictions, IEMA saw that this disaster had reached such a scale that it warranted a state disaster proclamation from Governor J.B. Pritzker. From that point forward, we were able to gather additional information so that the governor could request a major disaster declaration, which was granted by President Biden on August 15th. Disaster survivors could immediately apply for assistance from that point forward. Already, we've seen over 27,000 applications. FEMA's already approved over $50 million in assistance, and the Small Business Administration has granted nearly $5 million in loans. The DRCs opening today are another opportunity for people not only to get registered for assistance, but get the technical support that they need. It's a great resource to get additional questions answered about the process or specific application questions as well. While the DRCs are located in several key locations to best serve affected neighborhoods, FEMA will continue to work to open additional locations in the future. There are a number of state programs and services available as well. As previously mentioned, the State of Illinois' Department of Employment Security, or IDES, is currently providing disaster unemployment assistance, or DUA, to eligible individuals in Cook County. To file a DUA benefit claim, contact the IDES call center at 217-558-0401. Tell them that you're calling for the Cook County flood DUA benefits. Or you could schedule an appointment at the Lawrence, Pilsen, or Woodlawn American Job Center to file a claim in person. Unfortunately, fraudsters and scam artists arrive in neighborhoods that are declared a disaster. The Illinois Attorney General's office has some safety tips on guarding your private information, as well as tips to protect your personal identity during the process on its website, illinoisattorneygeneral.gov. The Illinois Department of Insurance has information related to insurance and insurance fraud. This includes lodging complaints on coverage, claim disputes, increasing premiums, misrepresentation, and no-notice policy cancellations. They cover health insurance, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, life insurance, and annuities. In fact, some IDOI's work includes providing assistance and advocating if your insurance company improperly denies a claim. Additional information is available at idoi.illinois.gov. If you were affected by the flooding, or if you know someone that was, please reach out to FEMA and the SBA. We want to make sure all disaster survivors have opportunities to help them get on the road to recovery. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Craig for additional questions.
All I ask is that you speak clearly, state your affiliation.
Good morning, I'm Kia, Health with Agency 7. Some of you may have addressed this already, but if, maybe you could unpack this a little bit more, because there's been concern about perhaps those who are not certainly there are many people affected by this disaster. How can those who are not American citizens get some type of help? Who could unpack that a little bit?
Sure, Andrew Friend, Federal Coordinating Officer. So there's two methodologies that they can, these folks can receive assistance. One is if they have a minor child in their household that has a Social Security number, a parent or guardian can register for FEMA assistance on their behalf. So that is one way. If that is not a possibility, there's not a minor child, then there are state and local resources that would be made available to assist. I can't speak to those, but I can tell you that we're here on the ground to ensure survivors get all the support they need to help them on their road to recovery.
Is there anyone here who can address that on the state level? What state and local resources there are for those who are not citizens?
I'm Michelle Hannigan with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency. Part of the process, we will come together, and Marcus convened us yesterday as part of that. You know, we will work with non-governmental organizations to determine how we best coordinate those resources as a unit. You know, we specifically talked about how important it was to all work together, and that includes the non-governmental organizations, the folks you think of in disaster response and the folks that you don't. So we will work on that process to develop long-term recovery committees to work through unmet needs that individuals might have as part of this process, not just now, but years into the future.
So if I'm hearing that answer correctly, so there isn't anything specifically set up for that demographic?
So one thing I should mention is that although there's not direct federal programs for this, we have a position on this in every disaster called a voluntary agency liaison. And what they do is they're conveners. So they work with organizations like Michelle spoke about, bringing them together and seeing what resources can be brought to bear for survivors on the ground. And that can oftentimes be for a shortfall or an unmet need, so they can advocate for support for an individual survivor or for a wider group of survivors based on what they're seeing on the ground. So on any given disaster, there's not like a unique 1, 2, 3, 4. It's unique to every disaster because every disaster is unique, and every survivor's experience on a disaster is unique as well. So we work through to get them that support. So again, if somebody cannot register from FEMA, we don't leave it there. We work with our staff on the ground, with state, the county, and city resources to try to get everybody as much resource and support they can get. No worries.
Anyone is welcome to jump in, but what is the kind of the average of the grants that have been given out so far? I know it can be a wide range, but of the 50 million given out so far, what's the range, or what's the average?
You know, and I'm going to give you the answer you don't want, which is it's a wide range. And it's because every disaster survivor's experience is different. Some have damaged vehicles, some have damaged contents, some lost refrigerators and appliances, and some multiple parts of their house were destroyed. So it's really a wide range. But what we can say is that we work with our partners to make sure that whatever the disaster survivor receives is what they're entitled to. And again, FEMA is meant to be a jump start to a survivor's recovery. So we recognize that FEMA is not the only answer. We're just a piece of the puzzle, coming together with our other partners at the state, county, and city levels to help that survivor on the road to recovery.
And what are most of the things that folks are needing help with? Is it like the reconstruction, like drywall, those types of repairs, or is it like the big appliances?
It's everything. So you're seeing drywall damage, you're seeing carpet having to be ripped up and removed, you're seeing appliances, you're seeing issues with mold, you're seeing all different types of issues that would normally come with flooding. And the tough thing with flooding is once the water recedes, you can look and it seems like everything is fine. But once you look closer, it's not. It's the wiring within the walls, or it's the car that looks fine, but it can't run anymore. So it's a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work has been done, and I want to congratulate and thank you all of our partners for the point we're at now, but there's a lot of work yet to be done, and we're committed to be here and see that through. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wants to emphasize the timeliness of this? Because maybe people haven't turned on their furnace or tried to check a car that's been sitting in the driveway to check those things to make sure they get in line for some.
You know, the most important thing is this, and this is what we said when we were in the process to go to the major disaster declaration from President Biden. Do not wait. if you have questions, you now have disaster recovery centers that you can talk to someone and get those answers that you're wondering. Should I remediate the mold? Should I take stuff out of my basement? That sort of thing. The most important thing to do is share your story, share your pictures, have the information. There are so many resources, and this is the call to action right now. The FEMA 1-800 number, the FEMA app that's on the Google Play and Apple Store, and then also disasterassistance.gov are all ways where you can sign up and be able to share what impacts you had. And it's not worth waiting. We always say things don't get better in time. In a flooding event, it does not get better in time. So with these disaster recovery centers opening, with all the resources that are out in the field under FCO Friends leadership, one of the things I can say is that we are leaving no stone unturned. But the one thing that you can do as a resident, if you've been impacted, is reach out, go to a disaster recovery center, call the FEMA 1-800 number, or go to disasterassistance.gov. Those are all ways to be able to get information, get your story out there, but then also identify if you're eligible for the disaster relief or not.
Any other questions?
I have a question. I'm the trustee of the town of and many senior citizens have called me and said that they've been denied to receive FEMA money. So is it possible that they can come back here and appeal for them?
Yes. So the question was that some survivors were receiving letters that were saying that they weren't eligible for disaster assistance. This is an important message that I want to get out to everybody. If you get a letter saying you're ineligible, don't give up. If you read that letter in its entirety, oftentimes there's a single piece of documentation that can help that survivor go from ineligible to eligible. Now, I understand this can be difficult for a survivor to navigate on their own. There's a lot of stress. They're dealing with the disaster. Things were destroyed. But what I can say is there's two methodologies you can get help with this. The first is you could call the FEMA hotline, okay, and talk with a live person, and they're going to walk you through that and answer questions and help guide you. Or you can visit one of the 4 disaster recovery centers that we've opened today. And again, there's more coming in the coming days that we're going to be opening. And talk to a person live there, and they can walk you through that process. Also, at a DRC, they will also help you write an appeal. So if you are at the point in your application process where you need to appeal, they will help you with that process as well. Right, so when you go to register, one of the questions is they're going to ask you if you have insurance. If you don't have insurance, just say you don't have insurance, and then they'll start you through the process. If you do have insurance, you mark that you have insurance, and then you contact your insurance company to see if they'll cover that cost. If they deny the claim, or if they send you a letter saying they're not going to cover the claim, you will simply bring that information, attach that to your FEMA file, and then if you're eligible for assistance, that won't stop you. But if you do have insurance, you should go and file that claim first, because FEMA, what we cannot do is we cannot duplicate benefits. So once they've received that denial letter or a letter from insurance saying they're not going to approve it, they can attach that to their application and continue their road to recovery. But don't wait. Don't wait to get the letter. Start your application registration process now, because you can update your FEMA application at any time. Yes, if they have insurance, they have to file a claim. And again, that insurance company will provide them with documentation saying if the claim's not going to be covered, and that's provided to FEMA. And again, that's to ensure that we're not duplicating benefits.
Mm-hmm. On most occasions, they're telling me they're averaging about $3,000. Mm-hmm. So they're complaining to us that that's not even enough for some of their appliances that were, that were lost in the basement. They want to know, can they appeal that amount even after the money was already deposited, or what's the process?
Yeah, you can appeal that at any time. One of the best ways to navigate that is either to call the FEMA hotline number or to visit a DRC, and they can walk them through that process. At any time you can appeal, and it's not going to be used against you. FEMA's not going to try to take money back or penalize you. If you feel you've been treated unfairly at any time in the process, you can certainly appeal it.